Hello and welcome to my channel, Crafting with Shuttermonkey. I'm Amanda, also known as Shuttermonkey, and I live in Ayrshire on the west coast of Scotland. Today I've got something a wee bit different from my regular podcast episodes to share with you today. I have a big pile of knitwear that I'm going to be rehoming. And I thought I would share it with you today, just before I rehome it, and tell you some of the stories about it, and just even what yarns I've used. And hopefully I'll provide a wee bit of inspiration if you're thinking of something else that you would like to knit. Right, where do we start? This one here. Let me just move this out of the way. I've been looking through my Ravelry project lists and I've found all the details to share with you today, just to remind myself about everything. So the first cardigan to share with you is this one here. I loved this cardigan when I made it. The pattern is called Pretty in Pink. On Ravelry I called it Pretty in Brown because I used Rowan Kidsilk Aura when I knitted this cardigan. I bought it through a de-stash on eBay and it was a bit of a luxury purchase. But it's got a lovely lacy design on it. And this pattern was actually published in an issue of Women's Weekly magazine back in 2009. Oh, I loved this when I made it. I knitted this in 2009 and it took me from the 9th of May until the 6th of June, which wasn't even a month. And when I think how long it takes me now to finish my projects, I think, look what you were able to do back then. I must have been a faster knitter in my 30s. So, that's that one there. This was the first piece of clothing that I think I knitted for myself in about 15-20 years. And it was the first time that I knitted with beads as well. And this is the garment that started my bead addiction. And the reason I'm rehoming it is just because it doesn't fit me anymore. I've worn it loads and loads and loads. It's been washed and worn and washed and worn. So I'm just going to hand it into charity because it's still in good condition. So that's the first one. Just pop it in that box. The next garment to share with you is actually a dress. I don't know if I'll be able to get all this in the shot. Let me just move you back a wee bit. Once upon a time this fitted me. So pretty. And the back. I have to show you the back, don't I? It's going to be easier if I hold it up that way rather than trying to put my... Now this dress is the Marie dress. And this is quite a chunky knit. It was actually knit using 7 and 8mm needles. It's a yarn called Louisa Harding Thalia. And this colourway is colourway number 6. I actually knitted this dress while I was on a trip to London. And it only took me 12 days. I started it on the 1st of August and I finished it on the 12th of August. So that was 13 days all in to knit a dress if you include... No, 12 days all in, sorry, to knit a dress. But as I say, it is a bulky knit, and I knitted it back in 2010, and I knitted it to wear on my birthday, which I did do that year back in 2010. And it's got a wee ribbon here around that you pull in your waist. But I do like it. It's just a shame it doesn't fit me anymore. But this is another one looking for a new home. So the next one to share with you is the Fireside Cardigan by Amber Allison. And I think a few of you might recognise this. Have I buttoned it properly? I have. It looks like it's bulging out in between the buttons. It shouldn't be doing that. Now this is the cardigan that Cameron Diaz wore in The Holiday. And I knitted this using Drops Nepal in shade 0500, the light grey mix. I love this cardigan and I have worn this numerous times. The first time I knitted it, I knitted this in 2010 and I followed the pattern, and only took me from the 25th of October to the 11th of November, which is a really quick knit. It was quite addictive. I remember just knitting, I couldn't put it down. I think it's actually ever so slightly felted. It's been washed and worn so many times. After maybe about 2 years, I wasn't wearing it as much as I thought I would wear it, and I realised it's because it wasn't long enough. So what I did was I took the sleeves off, I unpicked the sleeves and took them off, and then I unpicked the shoulders, unpicked the neckband, and nope. I unpicked the shoulders and unpicked the back of the neckband just to the shoulders, and then I took it down to where the armholes were. I added a wee bit more length on it and then knitted those armhole sections back up on both fronts and on the back piece, and then I rejoined the back neck on and I rejoined in the sleeves just to give me that wee bit of length. And then see, after that, it was one of those garments that it was never off. It's one of those ones that you wear at the weekend when you're just lounging about in your pyjama bottoms and you've got this nice cosy warm cardigan on. It has been washed, but it is a wee bit pilled and a wee bit bobbled, and I'm in two minds whether I should actually be handing it into the charity shop or just putting it into a recycle bin where you can recycle textiles and garments rather than charity shop. You can let me know if you have any ideas how to rehome your knitwear. What do you do with yours? Right, next up, this one. This one is knit using Louisa Harding Yarns. It was Kimono Angora Pure in the kimono ribbon. And it's just a little shrug type cardigan. And it's got the little bits of lace, the ribbon lace at the sleeves and around the neck and just around this bottom section here. I love this cardigan again. I love all my hand knits actually, I'm not going to lie, but it's just too small for me. I think everything's been shrinking in the wash. It's so lovely and soft. This was knitted, I started it in 2011 and I didn't finish it to 2014. It was actually a hibernating whip for a while. But it's just lovely and I really like that colour as well. This is the Magenta colourway, 04 for both the Angora and the ribbon as well. And this little lace detail goes all the way down. This little ribbon lace detail here comes all the way down and curves around and goes round the bottom of the back and then comes back up around this front piece. The reason that I knitted this one here, this Angora cardigan, was, do you know, way back in 2011 when Prince William got married and the then Duchess of Cambridge on her wedding day wore a little Angora cardigan and I thought it looked lovely. It was after the wedding ceremony and they went to the evening reception, there was pictures released and she was wearing a little white Angora cardigan and I thought, I'd love to have a wee Angora cardigan, and that's why I knitted this. And I'm quite sad to be getting rid of it. But that was the inspiration behind that one. I don't know if I told you the name of this one. It's called Muse and it's a pattern by Louisa Harding. The same as the dress. The Marie dress was by Louisa Harding as well. I've knitted quite a few Louisa Harding patterns over the years. Right, next up, this is the Maythorn Cardigan, and again, this is Louisa Harding. Now this one, it's a wrap. It had 3/4 length sleeves, they weren't full length. And it has this little wrap here with a ribbon tie around the middle. And I just didn't get as much wear out of it as I thought would. Let me see if I can tie it. It's kind of difficult to show you when it's not properly on, but none of them fit me, so I can't show you properly. It was just a little ribbon tie at the waist. And this, the waistband, the garment was knitted first. And then this was attached on at the end to this bottom section that goes right round the bottom, this lacy waistband. And the same with the sleeves. This was knitted later on as well. Or was it knitted first? I should probably check that. But the cuffs and this waistband and the edging along the side panels here. It's just lovely, isn't it? But it's one of those things that I didn't get as much wear out of as I thought I would, just because I didn't like the way it always gaped open at the front. It might have been better with a couple of buttons strategically placed somewhere. Now I knitted this in 2012 and this was knitted using Louisa Harding Yarns and the yarn was called Thistle, and this colourway is Herb and it's colourway number 15. And the reason that I knitted this one is because I saw a knitting friend wearing it. And I always thought it looked lovely on her. So I knitted one for myself. And obviously I didn't think it looked as lovely on me as it did on her. This one here is another Louisa Harding pattern. And it's called Sweetness. And this is just a little shrug. This was knitted in 2013 between the 6th and the 20th of July. So it only took me 2 weeks to knit this one. I was a fast knitter in my 30s, wasn't I? I knitted this one to take with me on holiday when I went away for my 40th birthday, and I never actually wore it. I made a dress to go with this as well, and I never wore either of them on my 40th birthday because I was in New York and it was too warm. My birthday's in middle of August and it's just too... It would have been fine here in Scotland to wear them both, but not in New York. So I didn't actually get to wear it on my birthday. I did wear it afterwards, but not on my birthday. And the yarn that I used to knit this is Louisa Harding's Grace hand-dyed in the colourway Warmth. That's the main colour here. And the little edging bit round the edges, this little picot edging, is knitted using Grace hand-dyed as well, but the colourway was Kiss. I used 4 skeins of this main colour, and 3 of them were gifted from Louisa Harding herself, because I used to do a little bit of test knitting for Louisa Harding, and it was a little gift that I received from her. So that one's got to go as well. Right, this one here. This might be difficult to show you because I'm wearing black and this one is black. You see the little sequins and the sparkles along the bottom and on the sleeves too. So pretty, isn't it? Right. This one, again, is a Louisa Harding pattern. And this one is called Glimmer. And it's using Louisa Harding Yarns again. The main body is knitted in Nautical Cotton. And the little waistband at the bottom and the sleeves are knitted in Louisa Harding Shingle. Now, both shades are black. The Shingle is black and the colourway number is 05. And the Nautical Cotton was black and it's shade number 15. I have still got some of this yarn in my stash. I did have some of the sparkly bit as well, but I know I've definitely got both of them in cream because I always said I was going to knit another one of these for myself in a cream colourway. The only thing I didn't like about this one is that bottom edge kept rolling up. See that? It keeps rolling up. And I did buy elastic thread and I was going to just put a little bit of elastic thread through that bottom garter stitch just to hold it in place, and I never ever get round to it. It's so pretty, but just a plain t-shirt style top. This one I actually knitted when I was on holiday in New York. We were away for 2 weeks on my 40th birthday, and this was the knit that I made while I was over there. I took it with me to knit, so while we were visiting places and you just get a wee bit of time to sit, knit, people watch, drink coffee, have a drink, sit in one of the many, many parks, I had some knitting with me, and this is the project that I knitted. I know it's really strange, you get attached to memories with things as opposed to the actual things themselves, don't you? The garments themselves. It brings back lots of memories. The only thing I had to do when I got home was knit the second sleeve and then sew it all together, and that was it. That was my New York knit. A wee bit of glitz and glam, a wee bit of glimmer. This is the Swan Lake cardigan, and it's by Joan McGowan Michael. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And this was knitted using Louisa Harding Yarns. It's jasmine, and the colourway was puce, and it's 1/5, and I have never worn this. The original pattern had you put a wee bit of lace, a wee bit of tulle around the bottom so it all fluted out, and you also had a wee bit of tulle coming out the sleeves. I never did that on it. I thought, I don't know if I'll wear it with the extra, just with the extra bits of tulle on it, so I'll just keep it like this. But I never wore it because I always felt like the waist was really, really shaped. It is actually a lovely shape. It all gathers in at the waist and then it flutes back out, if that's the right way to describe it. And I always just felt a wee bit self-conscious when I tried it on. And it's one of those knits that I always said, I'll lose a wee bit of weight and then it'll fit me better. So I've never actually worn it. And it's so pretty. See those buttons? I love these buttons. I'm in two minds whether to take the buttons back off. I bought the buttons when I was in Dublin. I was there for a knitting workshop. I flew over to Dublin with a friend and I bought those buttons. Now, this was back in 2015 I knitted this, and this is the second garment that these buttons have been on. The first garment I knitted, I grew out of, and I took the buttons off, and then I put them onto this one as well. The buttons at the time, now this was, what, 10, 15 years ago, were at €1 each, which was about £1, and I just thought that was really pricey for a button. So when I got rid of the first cardigan the buttons were on, I took the buttons off and put them onto something else, but I've never actually wore this either. Which is a shame, so I don't know, I might be keeping the buttons off of this one, and if you find this in the charity shop, you'll need to put buttons on yourself. Just 3 more items to go. This one here. This is the Aphrodite Shrug by Sarah Hatton, and it is just a little shrug. Do you know what? It kind of does. Sometimes you hold things up against you and you think, oh, that'll fit. But then you have to remember that you've got the width from front to back as well. And it doesn't fit. And I have never ever wore this. I knitted this using, what was it? Rowan fine lace, and the colourway is Antique 921. I knitted this for an SWI competition. I was part of a foursome, and we had a colour theme and things we were to do, and I was to do the knitted garment. And I can't remember what the theme was, but this colourway was just what they were after. So I knitted it in that colour. And it is just a wee shrug, it opens up there at the neck. And I knitted it in a size that I knew would be too small for me, but it was for this competition and that's why it was knitted. I thought it might fit, but it was always a wee bit small. And I did buy enough yarn to do a version of it in black, which I think I should do because I've got a nice dress that would go with it. That was ribbon fine lace, and I only used 1.5 balls to knit this. I've got 3 black, so I would have enough to knit a bigger version that would fit me. But it's so lovely, so soft. It's got a nice drape to it as well, isn't it? That lace pattern up there is just beautiful. It's done in 2 sections. You knit both sides almost the same way, and then you stitch it together here down the back, and you obviously leave the front open. But it's almost like, I remember knitting it and you start it here and then you just work a big piece back round to the neck. It was quite an interesting knit. Right, last 2 items. This one here is going to be a wee bit difficult to show you, so I'm going to see if I can actually tie it together. Right, this one here. It's a shawl collar cardigan. Now I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't knit this one. I bought it from Rowan themselves when I was visiting Holmfirth. I was down at a workshop, Debbie Abraham's workshop, and this was in the sample sale at Holmfirth. It was a 2-day workshop and I loved it. When I saw it, I absolutely loved it. Loved the colour, loved the yarn, and after the first day of the workshop, and I was staying in a B&B, I priced how much it would cost to knit this myself. And by the time I bought the yarn and bought the pattern, it was going to be quite expensive. So I just bought the sample. Now, I think the sample sold for about £40. And this is the original sample that is in the Rowan magazines. It's the Minna Cardigan by Martin Storey. And it is knit using, let me get this right. Oh, I've not written down the name of the yarn. It's from the Rowan Classic Tweed book, and the yarn itself is actually 90% cashmere and 10% silk. It is just lovely. But in all honesty, like that green cardigan, the Maythorn one, I just didn't feel comfortable wearing it. That shawl collar with the ribbon around the middle and it just keeps gaping open, it just didn't do it for me. And I've always wondered whether I should rip it out and maybe change the front so it's got buttons on it, or whether I should just rip it out and keep the yarn. It's a lovely, lovely yarn. And I dread to think what it would cost if you tried to buy it now, because I think it was about £10 a ball back in 2009 when I bought it. It's from the Rowan Classic Tweed book, and it's from 2007. So this yarn is almost 20 years old. And I dread to think what 90% cashmere and 10% silk costs now. This colourway is Tapestry and it's 856. And this is one of the ones that I'm really struggling to get rid of, because I keep thinking you could reuse that yarn. What do you think? Would you do that? I didn't knit it in the first place. I bought it as a sample, so it's not like I'm re-knitting something I made. But salvaging the yarn may be a good idea. Last garment to show you today. This one here. I'm actually wondering if this one would actually still fit me. It's knit using a wool and cotton blend. I don't actually know what wool was used to knit it. It was bought from my local yarn shop way back a long time ago. I'm 50 now and I knitted this when I was 19. I was pregnant with my son at the time and I was knitting little cardigans for him and some blankets, and my mum and my gran and my aunt were knitting as well for the baby. And I thought, do you know what, this baby's got so much, I want something nice to wear myself when I bring him home from hospital. So this is what I knit for myself. It's absolutely huge. It must have drowned me when I was younger because I was a lot thinner back then. But it is this pattern here. It's a Stylecraft pattern and it's number 4126. The pattern doesn't actually tell you what yarn to use, it just says Stylecraft double knitting on it. There are quite a few stains on this, just different, I think over the years wherever I've been storing it, it's got some rust stains or whatever on it, and I can't give this one to the charity shop, but this is one of these ones that I'm thinking, I just can't give this away. It's just, this is quite sentimental, this one. This is one of the ones, I think this is the only one that I couldn't maybe get rid of, maybe. I think I should put it in with my son's shawl. My gran knit a 3-ply shawl for my son being born, and I kind of feel like I should be putting this in the same box as the shawl. What do you think? Would you get rid of this one? Or would you keep a hold of it? I have wondered whether I would be able to dye it, experiment with dyeing, and try and dye it a darker shade, cover up all those stains, and maybe it would be wearable again. But the funny thing was, I was living with my mum and dad when I knit this. I was 19 and pregnant and living with my mum and dad, and I knit this jumper. It was over the summer months, and I spent a lot of time sitting outside knitting it. And my mum and dad's neighbours had seen me working on this quite a lot. So when I actually had my son, a lot of people assumed that I'd had a girl, because they'd seen me for months knitting in pink. So it caused a wee bit of confusion when I started pushing a pram with a wee boy in it, and I'd been working in pink, but it was this jumper I was knitting. It wasn't baby things, it was, I think people just assumed I was knitting a blanket or something, and I wasn't. It was for me. There we go. So that is it. That's all 11 items that I am going to be rehoming, or even just putting into the textile recycling, because I know there's companies that deal with textile recycling rather than selling the garments because they're still wearable. So if you have any ideas what I could do with this stuff, let me know. Tell me where you rehome your hand knits and how you get them out of your house and how you pass them on. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again soon.